I expected a surprise on my 75th birthday. But when my son David picked me up and said in the car, "This is your last free meal, Dad," I never saw it coming. In that moment, I realized that instead of birthday cake, I was about to experience the biggest betrayal of my life. But there was something they didn't know. The lottery ticket I'd bought that week was still sitting in my coat pocket. My name is Charles Mitchell. I'm 75 years old, and I worked as an electrician for 40 years in Toledo, Ohio. I built a good, honest life for myself and my family. After my wife Martha passed away 10 years ago from cancer, I'd been living alone in our house on Maple Street, but I was managing just fine. I cooked my own meals, kept the house clean, paid all my bills on time, and took care of the yard. I wasn't bothering anyone, and I certainly wasn't a burden to my family. David is my only son. He's 45 years old now, runs a small insurance agency downtown on Summit Street. He lives in a beautiful colonial house in the West Toledo suburbs with his wife Linda and their daughter Sarah, who's 16 and getting ready to apply for colleges. I loved them all deeply, and I genuinely thought they loved me back. How wrong I was about that. That Friday morning, March 17th, my 75th birthday, I woke up early at 6:30 a.m. like I always do. I made myself a nice breakfast. Scrambled eggs with cheese, buttered toast, crispy bacon, and black coffee. I was feeling good about the day. I figured David would call around lunchtime to wish me happy birthday. Maybe they'd stop by in the evening for dinner and cake like we'd done every year since Martha died. At exactly 10:15 a.m., there was a firm knock at my front door. When I opened it, David stood there on my porch, but something was different. He wasn't carrying flowers or a birthday gift. There was no warm smile on his face like usual. His expression was cold, businesslike, almost distant. "Morning, Dad. Happy birthday," he said, but his voice sounded mechanical, like he was reading from a script. I set down my coffee mug on the hallway table and reached out to give him a hug. "Thanks, son. This is a nice surprise. Come in, come in. I'll make you some fresh coffee. Maybe some breakfast too if you haven't eaten." "No, Dad, we don't have time for that. I need to take you somewhere important today. There's an appointment we absolutely cannot miss." Something felt very wrong. In all my years, David had never been this rushed or impersonal with me, especially not on my birthday. "What kind of appointment, David? Where are we going?" "It's my birthday. I thought maybe we could spend some time together." "I'll explain everything on the way. Just go get dressed in something nice. Wear your good clothes, the ones you wear to church." A chill ran down my spine, but I did as he asked. I went upstairs to my bedroom and put on my best outfit. My navy blue dress slacks that Martha had bought me for our 40th anniversary. My crisp white dress shirt that I kept pressed and ready for special occasions. And the burgundy tie with small gold dots that Martha had given me for Christmas 3 years before she died. Looking at myself in the mirror, I hoped this would turn out to be a good day. I had no idea how terribly wrong I was. When we got into David's black Honda Accord, the atmosphere was tense and uncomfortable. I tried to make conversation as we pulled out of my driveway. "So where are we headed, son? Somewhere special for my birthday?" "You'll see when we get there," was all he said, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. We drove in awkward silence for about 10 minutes through the familiar streets of Toledo. I watched my neighborhood disappear behind us as we headed toward the other side of town. Finally, as we stopped at a red light on Monroe Street, David turned to me with an expression I'd never seen before. Cold, determined, almost cruel. Then he said those words that would haunt me forever. "This is your last free meal, Dad." "What do you mean by that?" I asked, though my heart was already starting to race with the terrible possibility of what he might mean. David took a deep breath and launched into what sounded like a rehearsed speech. "Dad, Linda and I have been talking, and we've decided that it's not safe for you to live alone anymore. You've been having some issues lately that are concerning us. Mrs. Henderson next door called us last week and said you had your television turned up way too loud at 2 o'clock in the morning. She said it woke up half the neighborhood." "David, I'm fine. Maybe the TV was a little loud one night, but that doesn't mean—" He held up his hand to stop me from talking. "And yesterday afternoon, Mr. Peterson from across the street called Linda. He said he saw you stumbling and nearly falling as you were coming up your front steps with groceries. He was worried you might hurt yourself. I felt my face getting hot with anger and embarrassment. I wasn't stumbling around. I had heavy bags and the step was wet from the rain. This is ridiculous. Dad, the decision has already been made. We've found a place for you. Sunset Manor. It's a really nice assisted living facility on the east side of town. Linda spent weeks researching different places, and this one has the best reputation. You'll have your own room, 3 meals a day, activities to keep you busy, and most importantly, 24-hour medical care if you need it. My world started spinning. I felt like I might throw up right there in his car. David, what are you saying to me? Are you telling me that you're putting me in a nursing home? Today? On my 75th birthday? It's not a nursing home, Dad. It's an assisted living community. There's a big difference. And yes, we're doing this today because we've already signed all the paperwork and paid the first month's fees. Your room is ready and waiting for you. I couldn't hold back the tears that started streaming down my face. Son, please don't do this to me. I'm happy in my own home. I've lived in that house for 35 years. Martha and I raised you there. All my memories are there. Dad, please don't make this harder than it has to be. This is what's best for everyone involved. You'll be safer, and Linda and I won't have to worry about you constantly. But I don't need you to worry about me. I'm taking care of myself just fine. This isn't up for discussion anymore, Dad. The decision is final. When we pulled into the parking lot of Sunset Manor, I felt my heart sink even deeper. It was a large, institutional-looking brick building that looked more like a hospital than a home. There were no flowers in the front yard, no welcoming decorations, just a plain sign that read, Sunset Manor Assisted Living, in boring black letters. Inside, the place smelled like a mixture of disinfectant, cafeteria food, and something else I couldn't identify but didn't like. The lobby had generic furniture that looked like it came from a discount office supply store. Elevator music was playing softly from speakers in the ceiling. Several elderly residents were sitting in wheelchairs, staring blankly at a television that was playing some daytime talk show nobody seemed to be watching. The young receptionist behind the front desk looked up as we approached. She had blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail and was wearing pink scrubs with cartoon cats on them. She smiled at David like she'd been expecting him. "Good morning. You must be Mr. Mitchell," she said to me in that overly cheerful voice that people use when they're talking to children or very old people. "We have a lovely room all prepared for you. I'm sure you're going to just love it here." David pulled a manila folder out of his black leather briefcase. Inside were several official-looking documents with signatures and official seals. "I've taken care of all the paperwork, Dad. Everything's been signed and notarized. The room costs $4,200 per month, but don't worry about the money. After we sell your house, there will be more than enough to cover your expenses here for many years." That's when the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place and I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What do you mean, sell my house?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Well, Dad, you won't be needing it anymore. It's just sitting there empty, and it doesn't make sense to keep paying property taxes and maintenance costs on a house that nobody's living in. Linda found a really good realtor who thinks we can get at least $180,000 for it. Maybe more if we're lucky." I stared at him in complete shock. "David, that's my home. That's where I want to live. That's where your mother and I built our life together. Dad, you're not thinking clearly. You can't live there anymore. This is your home now." The receptionist led us down a long, sterile hallway lined with identical doors. The walls were painted that depressing shade of pale green that hospitals seem to love. We passed several common areas where elderly residents sat in silence, some sleeping in their chairs, others just staring off into space with vacant expressions. My room was on the second floor, room 237. It was tiny, maybe 10 feet by 12 feet. There was a narrow single bed with a thin mattress, a small wooden dresser with 3 drawers, one uncomfortable-looking chair positioned by the window, and a cramped closet barely big enough for a week's worth of clothes. The window looked out onto the parking lot, and, beyond that, the brick wall of an office building. They had brought some of my belongings from home, a few changes of clothes, my electric razor, some toiletries, and one framed photograph of Martha and me from our wedding day 52 years ago. But seeing my precious belongings in this cold, impersonal room made everything feel even more wrong and sad. Dad, I know this is a big adjustment, but you'll get used to it, David said, checking his watch like he had somewhere more important to be. The staff here is really friendly, and they'll take good care of you. There are activities every day, bingo, movie nights, arts and crafts. You might even make some new friends. David, please don't leave me here, I begged him. Please, let's just go home and talk about this. Maybe we can work something out. Dad, everything's already been decided. This is what's best for you. And deep down, I think you know that too. The realtor is coming to look at the house on Monday morning, so we need to move quickly on getting it listed. He gave me a quick, awkward hug that felt more like he was hugging a stranger than his own father. I'll call you in a few days to see how you're settling in. Try to keep an open mind about this place. And then he left. My only son walked out of that depressing room and left me there on my 75th birthday, like I was a piece of old furniture he was donating to charity. That night was the longest night of my life. My roommate was an 83-year-old man named Walter, who had severe sleep apnea and snored so loudly that the walls seemed to vibrate. I could hear other residents crying or talking to themselves in nearby rooms. The hallway lights stayed on all night, casting eerie shadows under my door. I lay awake thinking about how I had raised David by myself after Martha died, how I had worked double and triple shifts as an electrician to pay for his college education, how I had helped him buy his first car and put the down payment on his first house. I thought about all the sacrifices I had made for him over the years, and how this was how he repaid me. The next morning, Saturday, I used the payphone in the lobby to call David at home. Linda answered. Hi, Linda. It's Charles. Can I speak to David, please? Oh, hi, Mr. Mitchell. How are you settling in? David said the place looks really nice. Linda, I need to talk to my son. I want to come home. There was a pause. Then I heard her talking to David in the background, though she had covered the phone with her hand so I couldn't make out the words. Dad? David's voice came on the line. How was your first night? Terrible, son. I didn't sleep at all. I need to come home. This place isn't right for me. Dad, you need to give it more time. It's only been one night. You can't expect to feel comfortable somewhere new right away. David, I'm begging you, please come pick me up. I promise I'll be more careful at home. I'll get one of those life alert systems if that makes you feel better. Dad, I can't do that. And anyway, I'm busy today. I'm meeting with Mrs. Patterson, the realtor, to go through the house and see what needs to be done to get it ready for showings. The words hit me like a physical blow. You're already going through my house? Without me? Dad, we need to move fast in this market. Mrs. Patterson thinks if we price it right, we might get multiple offers the first week. David, that house isn't just real estate to me. It's my home. It's where we lived as a family. Dad, I have to go now. Try to participate in some activities today. I heard they have a really good bingo game on Saturday afternoons. And he hung up on me. That's when I remembered the lottery ticket. I had been buying the same lottery ticket every Tuesday for the past 5 years, always playing the same numbers. 4, 17, 23, 31, 42, 7. Those numbers meant something special to me. 4 and 17 were the day and year Martha and I got married. 23 was David's birthday. 31 was Martha's birthday. 42 was our house number on Maple Street, and 7 was just my lucky number. Martha used to tease me about wasting money on lottery tickets. "Charlie, you know those numbers are never going to hit," she would say with that beautiful smile of hers. But I kept playing them anyway, thinking that maybe someday they would bring us some luck. Last Tuesday, March 14th, I had stopped at Murphy's Corner store on my way home from getting groceries, just like I did every week. I bought my usual ticket and stuck it in the chest pocket of my brown winter coat without thinking much about it. With everything that had happened since then, I had completely forgotten about it. Now, sitting alone in that depressing nursing home lobby on Saturday morning, I remembered that ticket. The drawing had been Wednesday night, the day after David brought me to this place. I borrowed a pen from the receptionist and found Friday's newspaper in the lobby magazine rack. My hands were actually shaking as I turned to the lottery section and looked at the winning numbers for Wednesday, March 15th. The jackpot was $15.2 million. The winning numbers were 4, 17, 23, 31, 42, 7. I stared at those numbers for a full minute before it sank in. Then I pulled out my ticket and checked it again, and again, and one more time to be absolutely sure. All 6 numbers matched perfectly. I had won $15.2 million. I sat there in that uncomfortable lobby chair, holding that little piece of paper worth more money than most people see in their entire lives, and I started laughing. Not the happy kind of laughing, the kind of hysterical laughing that happens when something is so absurd that your brain can't process it properly. Here I was, abandoned in a nursing home by my son, who wanted to sell my house for a measly $180,000, and I had just won enough money to buy 100 houses like mine. But I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I had a much better plan forming in my mind.